about to go wild. And I think that might be a comment on the operators that are left on the attacking side.
Yeah, it's going to leave a few things up. A couple of shields being brought along, I'd expect. Quite a lot of Blackbeard and Monty together. Don't going to be super fun. Yeah, Doki, I imagine, isn't too pleased about seeing his Nomad taken away. As mentioned, I know that he likes playing that. Azami for a long time was his favourite operator. I'd have to ask him actually what he prefers playing these days. The Valkyrie also being taken away. We saw teams get absolutely terrored by Valkyrie being left up. Just a reminder that for years now, she has been one of our most present bans, I think, across all time. Even with the changes where you can no longer use her cameras outside a map, they are destroyed
Imagine
after
if
a
you
time.
still could.
Back on this map, it used to be really common that you chuck those cameras off onto the far buildings, lining the whole map, and you just see everything.
Not a day goes by that I don't miss those outside cams. Absolutely the correct decision to remove them. 100%. I will say that. But there's not a day goes by that I don't miss them. I used to have some absolutely prime outdoor cams.
They used to be horrific, so I'm very glad that they are gone. However, game is now underway. Let's get into it. G2 starting things off on the second floor. Have a reading and fireplace defense coming out. Joel, that means probably going to have to work through this top floor. That's why you can see G2 getting a bit of setup done up there. Uno currently running around. I think some of those Vulcan canisters drop down, ready and prepped to hold this top floor away from Joel. Because in case you haven't watched too much Siege before, or if you're new to Six Invitational overall, often because if you can't play the site itself, it's much easier to go and play it above and look to defend it, making use of the vertical floor offered. And Cafe is one of those maps, Tim, where there is tons of soft flooring. But unsurprisingly, G2 have got 3 players playing upstairs here. Joel are going to have to break this open. They have got the Blackbeard on side, so they've got something that's really going to help them do that. Whether or not G2 make it easy for them, that's a different conversation.
Uno seems to be prepping every single window that he goes anywhere near there, so I expect maybe a little bit of east-sided aggression on a little jump out if G2 get the opportunity. All the windows are at least primed for it. Drones start going in from the hatches, so Joel, I would expect to play this pretty default. Try and get themselves inside a cigar, move across, get piano control, sweep across top floor, and then start working those verticals. They've got the book, they've got the sledge. It screams that that's what they're going to do.
Oh,
however, here we go. Blackbeard is in, but Alamau is ready. Cuts him down with the Arune. Uno just manages to level things up as Joel get a couple of quick kills. Loses 3v3, but there we go. Uno and Blaz, they managed to find theirs as well. 3v1 to G2, and, well, we were expecting maybe a quick game, Des. We've got a quick first round to start us off.
We do. Leader left in a 1 versus 3. Now, we had this situation yesterday, Tim, and even you said 1v5s, they do happen. Is that a confidence chalker? It may well be, to be honest with you. It was a little bit broken in terms of timing. Like when you had the Blackbeard coming in, that's all well and good, but it's more about the second player that was coming in on the balcony to his north, but was a little bit out of time. I think was scared about being challenged from the middle of bar itself, so they couldn't quite get these crossfires set up that they needed in a fast execute like that. G2 are just ready. Leader might get one back, but there's still 2 to go.
Hoven's still asking for some sportsmanship, and can we just finish this with knives, guys? Oven going to be doing what he can to find another 2. Oh, we saw a 1v5 yesterday, Des. These things are always possible. And I think, though, Alamau and Blaz are going to play this a little bit safer. There we go. Leader drops him. And that's going to be the final kill coming in from Blaz. G2 take round 1.
It is worth stressing, by the way, that I know that Joel are already going home at this point. They're eliminated, and G2 are already guaranteed to finish in the top 3 of this group. However, the importance of finishing first or second really can't be stressed enough. If you finish top of this group, and Unwanted are only a point behind him, and they play each other tomorrow, G2 have got to make sure they get all 4 points from this game. You finish in first, you get an auto bye to the second round of the upper bracket. You skip a whole game. That's a bit of a blessing to have that extra day to do a little bit of prep, a little bit of analysis, watch the game come in, fully rested and good to go. Finishing second and third, well, you do start in that upper bracket, but you're in that first round. And I believe if you're in second place, you get to pick which third place opponent from all the other groups you face off against.
There are certain caveats and rules around that. You can't have the team from your own group and things like that. But interesting. I mean, it was interesting to me in my mind for a second, but I don't know if anybody else will find it fascinating. Blaz is playing with he plays with a wired mouse, which is quite interesting because that's pretty rare. We don't tend to see too much of that. Just so his cable, unless maybe it's just run out of charge. But I wouldn't expect that from. I'd expect the players to be ready. You don't have the.
That's another word you really play up.
What?
Rare.
Rare.
Say rare.
Rare.
Just rare. How'd you like your steak? Rare!
just like to emphasise things, though.
It's not emphasising, mate. It's inserting syllables where they don't belong.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I just thought that was quite interesting. We don't get a lot of players. You know, we used to see it a little bit more, and they'd have like the mouse sponges that like hold the wires and stuff.
Yeah.
His wire's fed down the side of his mouse mat, but then it comes round onto the top. I don't know whether it just needed charging or what. But,
we'll check it out.
Yeah,
check it out after the
just
round.
an interesting little point. If you look across all the players, I like to look at the players' equipment and, you know, like what are they doing, how do they set it up, that sort of thing. It fascinates me.
It's fair to say don't copy everything that you see on the screens.
Doki's had a better round.
Yeah.
Already. Sorry,
Start got the 1 kill. Start to keep. And the worst thing is, it's actually the Glass being taken down as well.
Yeah,
They've based a lot of their setup around this, right? They had the 4 smokes. 2 of those have now been lost in the back pocket of the Glass, and of course, who benefits from those smokes? Well, it's Glass. The Capital being on side also introduces 2 more, so they've got a lot to work with here. And the Monty is now trapped through the fire, and he's going to die to the fire. Oh, no. Couldn't really be going much worse for Joel, unfortunately. Everything's a little bit out of sync, a little bit out of tune. And the song that we're hearing is one of G2 dominance. Doki with a 3K may well
He's not moved
go
his
on
feet.
to make it an ace.
He's not moved his feet. He's just stood in behind the bookcase there, and he's just picking them up one after another. I'm going to call that second kill pretty smart from Doki, though. It was quick thinking. He knew that the Monty had overextended, and he wants more, doesn't he? He wants all of them now. He's just getting a little bit overconfident there, Doki. Reaps is going to take him down. Will be punished. But, yeah, pop in the Goyo canister there, just recognising, look, Mentalist has just overextended here. He's got a little bit too deep. Bang. It was a beautiful way to deal with it. Mentalist had no option. If he goes forward, he'll die from behind. So good stuff from G2 overall. They've made an absolute nightmare of just even getting into the building for Joel here. So 4v2, we've got Noodle and Reaps left on side. Ace and Capitausa, they've got some decent utility to potentially get a little bit of something going. And there we go. They do manage to start doing that. Reaps with the second in the round, takes down Blast. 3v2 and G2, they need to focus up and lock in.
Don't want to see this one crumble away when Doki's done all the hard work to begin with. I'll keep on stressing again that G2 really do need the lion's share of points from this, if not all 4, to make sure Unwanted can't jump over them.
Still got Alamau up above, which is really the safety net there. They're expecting, you know, if Joel do start managing to push on into sight, that Alamau will be able to deal with that. He comes back downstairs for the last couple of seconds and manages to pick up his man through the peak calls that have been made. So that's G2-0 here on Cafe.
As expected. I mean, the team matchup where they currently stand on the table tells you one thing. The fact that G2 get to start in defense here on one of their favorite maps is the other. I like at least that we've seen some attempts coming out from Joel. They've tried a bit more of a faster rush sort of style with the repels into east windows.
Reaps has hit a couple of nice kills there.
We've seen a big focus on this Monty push coming into Bakery. Like, they've tried a couple of things here. Neither really working out is the key thing. And I honestly think it just comes down to a little bit of a gap here. It sounds rude to say in skill, but G2 are the ones hitting their shots and netting multi-kills for fun.
Well, at the minute, in terms of the tournament, you know, G2 are one of the top 2 or 3 teams. It's not just, you know, like you say, it's not wanting to be rude. It's not about ability necessarily. It's not, you know, can Noodle get kills against, can Leader get kills against G2 on any given day? Can Mentalist proved he can do it over the years? Of course they can. You know, in terms of skill, yeah, absolutely, they're more than capable of winning the gunfights, but it's not just that they're coming up against. They're coming up against a deep strat book from G2. This team has been together for a good while now. Yes, there's been a couple of changes recently, but this is a team that are absolutely laser focused on winning this tournament. They're prepping for everything. They've got everything there behind them. So yes, it's not just about that skill, it's about every facet of the game where G2 really should have an advantage.
You've got being laser focused, Tim. There are
we have had laser gates. We don't get them very often anymore.
I don't actually know if that's the first pick of the Aruni that we've had here at SI. I'll have to go and check the stats.
I have seen it because I did think the other day, we're getting some laser gates in. It's a good while since I've been able to say that.
I was saying this actually in the casting cafe the other day. I haven't seen the strat for a long while where you have the castle barricades plus the laser gates set up on the double door inside a cigar shop and piano. Yeah. It just demands that you have enough utility to break through it and stop the player inside a cigar shop being so comfortable. Now, they should be getting into spot because Reaps is here on the line, which suggests that there is at least some control starting to be established. You've got Leader slowly working his way up towards back bottom of White Stairs at the same time. So it's all coming together for Joel. A bit of a split take this time round rather than the more unified one that we saw across the first 2 rounds.
I think literally the best thing that Joel can do is get themselves an entry kill or two. If they can start playing with a little bit of man advantage, that's going to be really big for them. And this could be smart from Noodle. He's just crouch walking his way up, but I think they're aware. Yes, there are. Alamo is there on the Arun. He manages to find him. Uno shuts down Mentalist as well. And this is where it gets particularly difficult for Joel when they're in that man disadvantage. Like I said, if they can just get that opening kill once or twice and cement that advantage, go 5v4, 5v3, those are the rounds that they're going to be able to pick up. Fighting from behind like this is going to make it significantly more difficult.
It starts the way it carries on. Just a lot of domination from G2 and Reach put on his backside here by Loira. Collects his trophy to walk away.
No.
A nice pistol tap spray. It wasn't a headshot, but home was already a bit low, therefore it was still a kill coming out. And at this point, G2 I think are having a little bit of fun. A flawless round to follow in round 3. And Joel, I believe, have a grand total, Tim, of 5 kills across 3 rounds.
And it's a good example there of what I was saying. And, you know, I know that it sounded kind of obvious, like, yeah, they need to get some entry kills. If they have man advantage, it'll be good for them. Of course it will, and I know that. But the reason that I say that specifically in this instance is because look at how G2 played those last sort of 20 seconds. Once they get to 5v3, G2 then start turning on the style, turning on the confidence, and that's when it gets more and more difficult because they know then that they're ahead and they can start, yeah, I'll try a little one tap with the pistol, I'll try, and it's going to get more and more difficult, and that's when G2 will start running over them. So that's why I say for Joel, it's so important to play really, really tight at the beginning of the round and try not to give anything away.
Well, a little timeout. Corey sitting behind the team. You'll probably recognise him from back in the day, Tim. Of course, on Rogue for a long period of time. Out here coaching the boys. I believe it's also his first SI, he was saying, so he's really excited to get out here with the team and see what they can do. Sadly, so far, what they can do has been lose every single map they've played. They had one, I believe, go to OT. Everything else was lost in regulation. So, close to getting a first point, but no cigar.
Yeah, we just see the little flourish from Loira at the end. Like you say, I think Oven already damaged there. But, yeah, you just get to a point when it's 5v3, 5v2, where G2 just start then hunting the kills. They're running up to the windows, running up to the doors. They're just looking for those fights. So we head into round 4. It's 3-0 to G2. They're just going to rinse and repeat the site choices now. So it's back to Reading, and then it'll be Kitchen. You know, and they'll follow it up and finish off the round. They're going to be looking for a 6-0, in all honesty. That's going to be, I think, in G2's minds now that is a possibility.
Sure. So I'm going to see they maintain 3-site rotation again as well. Joel, no doubt, anticipating this. That's why you tend to see TAC timeouts when you're down 0-3. Sometimes you can even win that third round and still calling the TAC timeout, knowing that you're going through those same 3 sites and there are things that can be corrected. Bit of a change to the lineup they're bringing along as well. Tim, still got that Monty we saw back in round 2, I want to say. It wasn't for this site that we saw it. It was Blackbeard that we saw back in round 1 being deployed
like
to
me.
take over that top floor. What?
You sounded like me a bit then.
What do you mean?
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard?
Blackbeard.
Yeah, it's a soft one for you, that is, though. You know when Doki's having fun when he's got the boss G out?
Yeah, exactly that. Like I said, this is the problem. Now, again, watch if G2 get the next kill, watch how G2 start playing, and it will turn into we're just going to run at you and try and get the last kills. And like I said, that's going to be a consistent problem for Joel, unfortunately. Uno's just going to dip himself away back up to the top floor. G2 knowing exactly where they needed to hold on to, which is going to be Freezer and Cocktail, so that's going to be their focus for now. Leader, he's going to try and get something going from White Stairs window. Might not be too bad an idea, actually. It's just going to prevent a lot of rotations from G2. Maybe catch somebody out. If you know how it is, you just knock out the top panel of the barricade, upside down rappel, and you catch anybody who wants to go onto those stairs. But Leader's just dropped himself away. That's really good for him. Reeves having a pretty good game so far. I know it's been tough for Joel, but he's certainly the one that's getting the kills, and he's leveled things up at 4 versus 4. There you go. That's the angle I was talking about for Leader. Perfect kill onto Loira. And Joel now have got something that they can work with.
They've now got the man advantage for the first time in this game, Tim, which I think is hopefully something they can convert. The fact that you've got the Monty on side, like you'd assume there'll be something they can do with this one. And maybe G2 having just a bit too much fun. Doki being on this vigil, for example, may yet come back to bite them. Has got that boss G. You heard it fire off there for a second. However, nothing being given away. Surely not.
Surely not. Alamau just trying to work his way out underneath the Claymore here. Does manage to take it. Is positioned a little bit too far up the hill. Beautiful stuff from Alamau to take down Leader off the rappel, and that actually solves a really big problem for G2. That opens up that rotate around White again.
That's really funny.
They can potentially go up now and challenge onto top floor if they want, and there you go, doing it straight away, but well away! Alamau very lucky to get away with that one. Almost taken down, but G2 continually trying to just harass Joel at every opportunity here, giving them no peace whatsoever.
Here comes Reaps in for a 2K for himself. I'm with you, Tim. He's really starting to warm up, which is looking good.
Hitting some good shots.
Because he had a really slow start to the tournament as well. I know the whole team were ill, which really doesn't help with things, but they need him to be gunning. He is that kind of player. Look at this, going up nice and tight. No! Doki just running straight in. Noodle bringing down Blaz elsewhere. So it's a bit of a 1-for-1 across the map. Now Doki has got to hold on. Smokes are down, and this might be a bit tough for him here. They're going to push him. He's ready and waiting. Gets the down onto one. The second won't find him in time here, I'm afraid. They're going to try and chase him down with 3 seconds still to go. Doki's holding tight, and he wins out the 1v2 as well.
Fucking boss G, man.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty sure we've all said that in ranked at some point.
Over and over.
And it got nerfed
Again.
recently, and it still can do, yeah. Ugh.
Well, Doki was playing it really well. He's playing, so yes, the boss G did get nerfed, and it was its range particularly that was hit. But Doki has played that in such a way that he is playing it at short range. He's playing it kind of like a shotgun. If I play him behind the engine here, he knows that the absolute maximum distance he's going to be challenged from is that double door. So he's played it pretty smart, really. So he's given himself every advantage that he needed with that weapon. But Joe actually played that really well. They're kind of unfortunate not to come away with a round. On the whole, you know, I like what Leader did on the upside down rappel on White Window to cut off that rotation. He got his reward for it. Unfortunately, the Claymore placement, it was right, but it was just a little bit wrong. And Alamau, smart play, you know, had the opportunity to get underneath it, clear it out and get the kill. But then they were still very much aware of the danger as soon as Leader got cleared that G2 were likely to push up White stairs and try and retake top floor. I don't think you would necessarily always try and do that as a defensive team, but like I say, G2, they feel like they've got an advantage here, so yeah, we're going to push it, yeah, we're going to play a little bit cocky, we're going to get on toppy if you let us, but they dealt with it really well, did Joel. They were well aware of the danger coming, and they, you know, they neutralised it, so on the whole, there are good little passages of play from Joel at times.
Ooh,
there you go, Reese absolutely slaying at the minute.
They've got to be careful. Like, I know they're up 4 rounds. They can afford to lose 2 here. And I don't think G2 are batting either. They really wouldn't care. But Reeps is hitting some shots. He's keeping them busy. He's making sure that they're on the toes still and that they aren't just treating this as a full-on run-around, mess-around. Even in that last round, it took a 1v2 to get things over the line. G2 here has got to show at least a little bit of respect on wager towards Joel, lest they start dropping some rounds. I don't think they'll ever drop the map. But if you care about your stats, then it's one thing to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there'll be an element of pride for G2 maybe in coming in here and getting a 7-0 and, you know, really putting a marker down. It sort of sends a message to the rest of the tournament as well. We're just going to see the laser gate reactivated on that door as well as the nitro kill. So a good little passage of play for G2 there, really. Like you say, I think, you know, they're quite happy to have a little go at it at the beginning of the round, but then they are focusing in. They are trying to lock these rounds down. They don't know about this push.
Doesn't matter, because Doki's still going to win. No boss G this time around, I'm afraid. Back onto the MP5 with the Warden. Enough bullets there to find his man. 3 left alive now for Joel. G2.
I don't think Doki knew the main door was castle dead. That was, if you remember, I once asked Doki about a Kaid electrical on a wall. He said, I've no idea. I'm at the other side of the map. I don't know what they're doing. I'm just going and getting kills. Maybe no, he just tried to spray through the main door, but it was castle barricaded.
Well, they know that this Monty's coming. You see the Yokai's running around at the same time. Bit of robot wars here. Can they find it? Yes, they can. At least one taken away. I don't know if the second one's still out on the field at this point, but Hoban just sniffing around here. There we go. There's the second one. What do you find? Nothing of much for now. It's more to keeping an eye on the Monty. Waiting for that push to come through. Instead of the interrupts they need it on the plant. But honestly, Tip, I think they'll probably try and kill him out before then. They've only got the one impact to play behind, but the Yokais will definitely help if required.
Joel are going to go for it here. Mentalist is in. I think Joel have got a reasonable idea of where people are playing. There you go. Hoven's there for the trade onto Reeks. We're going to be shut down.
He's alone.
This is now very difficult for Mentalist.
And he's dead.
There you go. Shot in the back. It was particularly difficult because the Yokai drone was left, so obviously they're going to be able to stun the shield away if they need to, but they were also... Alamo, calm down. They were also on either side of him at that point, so it was always going to be tricky for Mentalist. But look, not again, not terrible from Joel. They managed to get in. They're trying to get that diffuser down. They were aware of Uno's position out in court check. They had the red ping on him. Hoven was there for the trade onto Reaps. They kind of, again, you know, they're trying to get things going. They're getting into good spots, but ultimately, you know, G2 are winning gunfights and have the answers.
They do. And it's hard when you know that you're already going home to really want to throw your all into a game if you're Joel. And you felt a little bit ill all week as well. You've already been eliminated.
Especially coming in against G2
and you're against
phenomenal
G2,
so far.
And you're attacking onto Cafe, and it's a little bit just like, ugh.
And it's the first game of the day. You've had to get up early for it.
You know what? My conspiracy theory here is Joel have picked to go to Cafe, knowing that it's one of G2's favourite maps, to try and expose them as best they can for all the other teams in the tournament.
Give that footage away.
But what footage is there to give away, let's be honest? Doki's running around with the Boss G on Vigil.
That's the thing, you know, they're not normally going to be doing that. So
I guarantee you won't see most of these setups again. There'll be more G2 saying we can get the job done with what we've got here. Last round of the defense, though, coming out. And then we swap sides. And then, no doubt, after 2 or 3 of those rounds, we'll find ourselves moving over to Consulate for map 2. See if Joel can get something out of this first half. Once again, you got Reaps rocking on that Deimos. You've got Mentalist on at the shield. Not having a great start here. Don't expect really for a multiplayer to get tons of kills, being down at 0 and 5. Certainly not helping improve his team's total of 10 kills across 5 rounds.
Alamo, he's wanting to catch him out. I mean, it's a well-known peak. You've got to repel. If you're going to repel up there, he was looking for them to the sort of half wall that's off to the right there. Thank you very much. He was waiting for him to repel up there, but everybody knows you usually have a little orderly queue forming on the far left-hand side because then you can't be seen from that window. So unlikely to get anything there, Alamo, as much as he was being cheeky and having a little look. Uno's just going to be moving himself under that skylight as well. Alamo still very, very keen on playing around that window. He manages to get one, but Leader's going to punish him. Leaves us in a 4v4, but look who he's taken down. He's got Hoven on the sledge. That is certainly not ideal for Joel.
Well, there's Reap still going. Now moves himself into positive KD territory, Tim. Not a bad spot to be in. Admittedly, a very target-rich environment with how many kills the rest of his team have picked up throughout this game. At least bringing a bit of order to the chaos.
I like the way you've put that there.
What?
It's a target-rich environment because nobody else is dying.
Was I wrong? Breaker at the spawn. Haven't bothered breaking away. I actually like that they left the castle barricade up in a sense here, Joel. Now I think breaking it away is going to force Uno back. But I was going to say, he can't really do much to challenge them here except through that soft wall in towards Bar. Speaking of Uno, he's down. G2 are in a 2 versus 4 against the shield. Surely, Tim, this is where Joel get on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think this is the one. I think G2 probably struggle from here.
Oh, no.
Just a missed opportunity. Doki sees it's the Monty. Doki just sees it's the Monty and he's like, this is worth it. I'm going for him. I'm going for him.
Oh.
And he dies very quickly thereafter. G2 going to drop the round. Joel pick it up. Again. Yes. What are they doing? They're winning the round, Doki, is what they're doing. You know, Joel there able to... I think the thing that's won it there for Joel is like Leader, for example, being aware of Alamo potentially coming out of that window, getting the trade back. You know, they had answers to all the little tricks that G2 tried to bring.
I was looking at why did he go out the window? That's what Doki was probably wondering is why is he going out the window? I'm pretty sure it's because diffuser is down outside white somewhere. Checking back on the replay now, and yeah, it looks like that's what he had to do is go and try and recover the diffuser, but needless to say, G2 made the job a little bit too easy for them there. Comfortable closeout, 5-1. Not going to be a 7-0 for Joel, so it could be far worse.
Don't underestimate the play from Mentalist there as well. I know he's going out of the window as the Monty, but...
Oh, please, Tim. Give it a rest.
No. As soon as Doki went out of that window, Mentalist flipped 180. As soon as that information has come to him that there's a player outside, he's recognised he's come out behind me. He's flipped 180, and that's why Doki doesn't get the kill on the Monty. That's exactly why, because he's turned his shield towards him. So I'm going to give Mentalist his dues on that one.
Okay, Tim. If we're at a point of praising someone for being able to flip 180 when they see an opponent has been intercepted outside.
No, I'm giving him that one.
All right.
Quick response.
You give him that one, mate. Fine. Okay. I'll let you have that one.
Quick response.
Is Noodle on the boss sheet? Oh, yeah, he is.
Course he
Okay.
is.
We are in fun time territory now, ladies and gents. We'll see if he can get anything for his troubles. Not expecting too much that he will. Whilst rocking the Blackbeard here. Otherwise, it's... I'm going to go as far as calling it a normal comp. Seeing a Zofia and an Iana on side. Probably not really. Again, there's not really much to take away from G2 in this game. It's not like there's a ton of analysis you can do on what they're playing and what they're doing. So I can't imagine you'll see this sort of lineup coming out again. But they are in on the top floor. Tim are trying to march their way forward. Doki has slipped the net there. Oh, they've let him through. Trying to make their push forward here. Doki's carrying on. He keeps on getting into these really slippery places, but it's very target elusive. There we go. They've found two. A trade coming back in. Mentalist finally on the board at the same time. And Doki's now getting the plant down to him in this 3 versus 3.
Yeah, he's going to stick it as well. The problem is that they don't have the verticals really at the moment. However, with that in place, 2v3, it's going to be... Oh, no, Alamai's down anyway. It's done. So I don't think that Joel...
No.
His last stand.
Not that it matters. Mentalist has got him. Oh, it could have been one of those moments, Tim. Could have been one of those moments.
Certainly go. There we go.
How on
There we
earth
go.
does that happen? We'll find out later. I don't know what that's all about.
That I think that that is a fair comment for that round as a whole, Des, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Doki walking into the middle of site with diffuser in hand. How often are you going to see that? And then starts chucking it down on the floor, like, yeah, it was something.
It was a round. I mean, Joel now got 2.
It was definitely a round.
A round of Siege was played.
I think there is an element of G2, like you said, not wanting to, be giving away too much on Cafe. It is an important map for them, and they don't want to come in here and be, sort of full strat in it and giving that footage away if they can avoid it.
No. Probably to a level where you still got to calm things down a bit.
You got to get this one.
The less you have to play, the less you have to show.
Yeah.
You'd rather get this one done, out the way, and just push on through.
I've always said you've got to. It doesn't matter. You've got to beat what's in front of you. You've just got to play what's in front of you. If that's an easy game, a hard game, whatever it is, you've just got to get it done. And like you say, getting it done as quickly as possible is going to suit G2 down to the ground. Mentalist is going to be hiding the clash away. Try and avoid them bringing anything specifically to deal with him. I think they might have spotted him, given that Lawyer has switched from the Ashe to the Capito. That would suggest to me that they're probably aware of that clash, and the fact that Mentalist got himself moving just before those changes were finalised. I think he's probably been picked up and knows he has. So G2 have got the tools to deal with that.
I'm a bit perplexed by this. And I was just like, I'm not losing my marbles. Didn't Withstand get removed?
Yeah. That's when I said it.
I was going to say it, but I was like...
I definitely saw Alamau downed.
Yeah.
And now he's back up.
Oh, frost mat.
It was a frost mat.
Okay. Thank God.
Literally on any other operator, I'd have straight away said he's gone in a frost mat. But
Yeah.
because it was on Zofia, I had that moment of like...
Hang on a minute. Is that crept back in
Question
somehow?
mark? I was like, I'm sure that's a
Yeah,
comeback.
I had to pause for a minute and just be like, hang on a sec. Okay. All good. All good. It's good to have our brains like...
We do keep,
worked a little
we keep
bit.
on top of the changes, but when you've been doing this game for 7-8 years,
I was like,
there's a lot of things.
I haven't missed a patch yet where it
There's
came
a lot
back
of
in.
things that have existed and that have changed over the years. So
Yeah.
Noodle is going to take down Blaz. 5 versus 4, a good opener for Joel. They are going to be dealing with the clash of Mentalist here, though. RG2 pretty well. Uno manages to pick up 1 to level it up 4v4. Mentalist needs to be very careful here. Another asphyxiation bolt in his direction is not going to be pretty for him, but Lyra's used both of them, so there's not going to be one coming.
Are we at a stage now where Joel will have to congratulate themselves because no one else will? Nice shot, thank you, Noodle says to himself. C4 over and Reaps carries on, the re-ping up to 7 and 6. Or falling by the wayside in G2. At some point, Tim, they're going to have to take this a bit more seriously, I think. They are now about to let the 3rd round in a row slip away to Joel when it looked like it was on for a G2 7-0, 7-1 kind of outcome. We're not there yet, though. Joel's still a bit of work to do. 70 seconds to play. And Alamau finding Reaps. Again, the main threat on this other side has now been removed.
3 versus 3 then, G2 still in a winnable position here, but dealing with the clash is proving problematic. Hoven manages to peek out using the information from Mentalist to take down Doki, and now that Joel have got themselves on the defensive side, they are looking much more competitive here, and I think in the next round or so, you're going to see a slightly different G2 coming out. We've spoken about them, you know, maybe not using all the strats, maybe not giving everything away on Cafe, but there is going to come a point where they have to say, look, one way or another, we need to get this won.
They do, and Joel aren't making it super easy for them. I mentioned the importance of G2 not dropping points today. Unwanted sitting in second place are just 1 point below them, and Unwanted play against G2 tomorrow. Winner of that game may well be the one that takes the top spot in the group, so the more of a gap that you can leave between you and that team, arguably the better chance that you have of things working in your favor. For example, if Unwanted find themselves falling a bit short today, then great. However, a timeout being called in by G2.
What did I say?
Romalio's like, cool, boys. That's enough mucking about now. Come on.
This is what I said. As you know, Joel get a couple of rounds and you're going to see a different G2 come out because they're going to have to. You know, the question is now, obviously, they've come in with just kind of one attitude and they've won a good few rounds with it, but I don't know. They're going to lock in. You know, it's kind of difficult sometimes mid-game to just switch that up and turn it on, so to speak.
You can go a bit far down the path of mucking about and you can't switch it on then.
Exactly. It's like, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes to just turn it on and to just be like, right, no, you know, it's sort of strictly business. And we'll see whether the timeout is going to be what they need to enable them to do that. But G2 genuinely need to be cautious here because there's a world where Joel could easily take this to overtime. You know, they're starting to win defenses on Cafe. Yeah, well, as we said at the beginning, the attack is always the question on Cafe.
Dun, 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 dun.
They need to win this round to G2, in reality. They need to come out and win this round now.
I'd hope/expect to see less mucking around now. It's like, yeah, you've had your fun, boys.
Attack time out, come out, get yourself onto map point and just get it done now.
Game on. Fireplace and mining going to be where we head for round 9 then. Joel taking us across to here. Got the mirror and the castle setup coming in. A couple of C4s to play with from below if needs be. And still, we've got Noodle running around on the Vigil, looking to cause a bit of bother. Not quite sure he got the memo here about how close they might be to, potentially starting to upset G2 here, get them close towards overtime. If nothing else, will put the fear of God in them, or the fear of Vigil in them in this case. Boss G ready to roll once again. See how he fares. I imagine G2 as a team should be really, really good at being able to capitalize on a player being relatively isolated. Vigil often playing off by himself. We've seen top teams at this tournament so far to be really good at identifying that and working as a team to punish those solo players out in the map by themselves.
Yeah, it should be reasonably easily dealt with. You know, the Boss G, as we've seen, can still be a threat. But I think it puts Vigil into the same sort of territory as how I would always advise people to deal with the Caveira. You know, when you're looking more at rank play, obviously, Caveira should be insanely easy to deal with because her guns are really poor at long range. So you identify where they are and you engage them from 2 angles at long range. You just push them from opposite sides and you just pick a long range fight with them. And it should be sort of entering that same sort of territory for Vigil here. Recognize where they are and just try and engage them on a long angle.
Really starting things out relatively sensible with a lot of droning. However, Tim, a good few of those drones have been worn away here by Joel. They've picked away at the information game from G2 and leaving them a little bit barren when it comes to that side of the game. They could pay the price here, but they're straight in. Noodle's been punished out. A great combo of a nade and a swing coming in. Those are the moments of team play that we've seen G2 do really well over the last few days. So even seeing it here is a good sign that, hey, actually, Romalio has said, get on it, boys. Players we have the last few days.
Yeah, in reality, this needs to be 7-3 now. Like I say, you take your time out as G2. It's time to lock in. It's time to get the next 2 rounds, and they just need to be able to switch it on and get it done. And I think that is certainly what we're seeing here. Aggressive push in there from Alamai, looking to take that top floor. Just start opening things up with the sledgehammer now, and G2 have got everything they need. The booty drones are a go. They will start ripping that flooring up, and things are going to get more difficult for Joel inside his sight, and even around it by the looks of it, because G2 are ripping everything up.
You need sledge and you got a ramp. Away they go. The wee-woos, Crocs alarms being used there as well. You'd expect that to be when a C4 then comes skyward, but I think with the work already being done to unsettle a lot of the flooring in there, you can't really safely play inside a reading and look for that free C4 onto the cocktail players. G2 just playing it out sensibly, and Joel being cautious. Of course, I've lost that one player, but G2 have got the numbers advantage here. They aren't mucking around as much. looks like this one should be one they can massage through to a close.
Yeah, like I suggested, really, I expected to start seeing a slightly different G2, and that's exactly what we're getting now. They're starting to hold those angles. They're not just wandering into sight and trying to put the diffuser down. The drones are coming out. You know, they've really switched on here. So they know that one's playing in behind that B-bomb chassis. They're going to try and get the angle down from above, just working inside a piano. 15 seconds left to go. They've got to get something going. Can they find the toes? Just trying to get that extra little bit of angle that they need. 2 kills come in, but so do they for Joel. 2 versus 2 as Hoven manages to take down Blaz. It's 2v1 with leader down.
Oh!
Blaz in the nick of time manages to get that final kill, and that's going to close it out for G2. 6-3 now. They go on to map point.
Really close there to pulling off that 1 versus 2 in the close. G2 leaving it a little bit too close for comfort on time, but getting the job done. 6-3 now. The golden opportunity to get things wrapped up 7-3 and then move over to Consulate.
Yeah, we can see, like I say, the sort of difference in teamwork coming out of G2 there. Certainly, like you said, you know, left it a little bit late. It was losable for them, that much is for sure. But I think that's, you know, much more what we can expect to see from G2 is a solid first half. First 2 minutes of the round, and yeah, if they need to turn it on a bit at the end and rush in and try and find a few gunfights and kills, they'll back themselves to be able to do that. But 6-3 now, we find Joel once again sticking with the Vigil. Noodle was dealt with very easily last time by G2. Like I say, once you've identified the location, you can generally go in and deal with the Vigil reasonably easily, and I'm sure G2, they're going to be aware that that's probably going to be a requirement again this time.
Sure. Well, for G2, get it done and dusted here and now. Don't need to stretch this out any further and start putting yourself in more risk. Similar sort of story of that top floor control, then down onto the ground floor. Always enjoy seeing Doki on the Deimos, by the way. It's worth touching on.
Oh, he's a great Deimos player.
When I think about it, there are a few really great Deimos players around the world that I always love watching. Shaika always jumps to mind. Maya's another one. Atom, as of this event, I've really enjoyed watching play on the operator as well.
Yeah, Atom's been great on the Deimos so far at SR. Looking forward to seeing some more of that. Doki's just going to open the hatches with that Vendetta, and then the scans, the tracks will likely start coming on through. G2 just being cautious with those claymores going down, make sure that they're not going to suffer any jump outs on the east side. Going to be looking for top floor control once again as they are attacking onto that mid floor. For the time being, I was going to say it's about getting those drones in, but that tells Uno one thing. Somebody is sat watching that window.
Now the idea, this is dangerous to go flying in here as well. They're always going to have his number. Alamal taking a big risk and being punished for it, but Loira rounding in. One on number behind him, and the timing is there. Hoven was ready first. Leader into another, and Joel have held off well. G2 taking a lot of risks on this attack, Tim, and they've paid the price.
Yeah, this is what I said. Sometimes it can be difficult to just turn it back on, and they kind of feel like they've gone back towards the attitude from those first few rounds there. Like, yeah, we're just going to repel into white. There's one lumber, one washroom, one through in cocktail. Like, you're asking for trouble there. You're going to be pushed in numbers, and that's exactly what Joel have done. So it looks likely that Joel probably find themselves another round here. 2 versus 5 for Uno and Blaz is not going to be easy, especially with Uno on half health as well. He's just going to create himself a little rotate through to pillars potentially, but yeah, a lot of work to be done from the two of them here.
Not one I think they can get done, being honest. I know we've seen 1v5. I know that's happened. I don't anticipate it happening here. I think Joel have really actually held themselves down well. Not given much room for G2 to make, well, anything happen in this round. So that means we're going into round 11, Tim, and then you start asking that question of, does overtime become a possibility? It's a lot to ask for Joel, I think, to get 3 rounds in a row. But crazier things have happened.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. You know, there is a world where Joel have locked in here, and for every round that they get, there you go.
Can I just remark, Tim? Someone in chat has said, "Fust caster." It's not just me. I'm not losing my marbles.
Everybody's worrying about it too much.
It's just funny. Fust. I don't know why it started this week, because I've never heard you do it before.
I definitely haven't changed the way that I say that word.
I think you have, though.
I haven't. You've just... Why would I? I'm nearly 40 years old.
Tim,
At what point am I changing anything now?
When you hit 40 years old.
In.
You're getting ready of hitting that age.
I'm locked in at this point.
No, see, For me, the thing that does it is I can think of a number of times in my head where you've gone, he's got the first kill. You've said it as first.
I think it depends where I'm saying it. If I say it now, I would say first kill.
When you said where there, I was going to say where.
I would say first kill. So I think when it's a prominent part of a sentence, like first kill, then I pronounce it properly. When it's just part of a stream of a sentence, then that's probably when it slips to being like that.
Well, when I hear you say first like a normal, functional human being, I'll let you know.
I personally think it's endearing.
Endearing, honestly.
No, look, the point that I was making about Joel is they're getting rounds back to back now. They're starting to pick up a little bit of pace, and that's a problem for G2 because whilst, yes, there is likely, it's fair to say a gulf between the two teams, and, we saw G2 come out with a really strong start. As I said, Joel is a team that is full of capable players, experienced players, and they are being allowed to get their foot in the door here. And believe me, any Siege player, any competitive player of any sport will love nothing more than to spoil somebody else's party. And they're starting to be given an opportunity to do that. And Joel will gleefully take it if it continues to be offered. So things like swinging in through the windows into White Corridor, thinking you're just going to get a couple of kills, it is still a big risk for G2. And they need to just get it stopped and get this closed out.
Well, we saw the superior use of the Zofia at the end of that last round. Forget about destroying utility. It's for taking yourself out of a horrific 1v5 situation. There's 2 rounds to go, potentially. We'll see if we get to that point. But now, G2 have got to get things closed out. We can't say it enough. As been saying now for the last 5-6 rounds. It's time to shut up shop. Cannot be letting this one go the way of Joel. Every point that you drop is valuable. And if you win the series 2-1, you only get 3 points. You don't get to walk away with the full 4. So every map does matter. You can't afford to be dropping even a single one. Joel making it hard for them. G2. Nice sort of idea. One holding around in coat check, I imagine. At this point, you see him up on the side there, just waiting to see what's going to happen next. Joel just waiting to see where G2 come pushing in first. That's one of my favourite additions to the game is the bulletproof EMP.
I think it's great.
Great little addition.
It is a great addition. I think it's
brilliant. It's been a while now.
It has been a good while, but we don't see it used that often, I think, is the point. The teams do use it plenty. We just don't always catch it. We don't always see it. But yeah, good stuff. Just to disable that drone, it will have allowed it to be taken out as well.
Noodle is full sending this boss G, by the way.
He really is. He's sticking
he hasn't backed away from it at all.
No, not one bit. I mean, he's backing himself, essentially. He knows Noodle's absolutely fantastic gunner. He knows that he'll get kills on it, given the opportunity. Just a missed opportunity there as Hoven had the chance to take down Alamau. This is likely it now. Alamau manages to find Reaps 5 versus 3, but Mentalist says, hang on a minute there. I'm going to have something to say. Takes down Loira. We're going to see Uno down, but not out as well. Alamau low health. Joel could pick this one up, but no, Blaz once again, as he has done so far, so consistently over the last few days. I mean, we'd love to see it. We'd definitely be here for it, but I very much doubt it. His auto canister goes out. He knows he's going to be pushed, and that is that. Alamau manages to pick up the final kill, and G2 do eventually get this one locked down, and they take the win on Cafe.
I'd like to say it was easy, and it was for the first 5 rounds, but they did make a bit of a meal of it throughout the rest of that game. I think, like we said, Tim got a bit into the flow of mucking around, not taking it too seriously, and then Joel, when they switched sides, got a little bit of heat behind them again. 7-4. I think probably quite complimentary to Joel overall, but for G2, you want to see him taking things a little bit more seriously going into Consulate, and I expect that'll be the conversation going into this break. Speaking of, we're going to a break ourselves. Back in a few.
Tap, tap, yeah, I want that. No lines, I don't cut back. Sweet, salty, and all that. Let loose, come get that. Can you play that back, back, back? Can you run that back, back, back? I'm trying to play that back, back, back. I want that. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel that? Let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel that? Ooh, you feel that? Ooh, the real back. Ooh, I'm still that. Ooh, you catch that? Ooh, I guess that. The best back. Yeah, yeah. 30,000 up, I'm a pilot. Might jump out if I'm wildin'. Catch my flow, I'm so stylish. Tap, tap, real smooth. Can you play that back, back, back? Can you run that back, back, back? I'm trying to play that back, back, back. I want that. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel? Let's go.
There is a fine line between ambition and greatness. The only thing harder than getting to the top is staying there.
Nice shot by Nade. Army crawling his way. Turns the answers back, but Nade! Excuse me!
Handy. Nade. Oh! Shuts down his brother! Into red time we go. Where's the response? The double through.
Have you ever noticed that nobody ever asks, when does Ashen play? That's because when SSG hit the stage, people generally know.
Second! And the counter disabled to win the round and has done very little since. Oh my goodness, Benjamaster with 2.
This is gonna stick for SSG, Des!
It is, and look at the cover, Jane. I know it's not a back room. It's killed 4!
This is it, you look at both sides and you think there's somebody who's gonna step up, get slippy, finds himself a second Des! Action saves Des, make it a third! It's a 3-kill!
The king without a crown. BDS have conquered a continent.
Fire was the best console that we've seen. Oh my, always is a target!
This can be made successfully.
Information from the bees. It goes dead. Shotgun.
And he swings on to Dodes. Vintage Breeding showing up. Running out of time.
Round in the corner, bees. Information. Shaiko pushing for it. Nafe is there.
This team has talent, experience, style, and a fish.
Creeps in the 1v1. Relocating towards Raptor. Creeps, what a swing and a quad. Disgusting quad.
He and Rhymes with Buck. They will get the plant down. Leader again taking another 1v1. He knows the plan is close and he gets the headshot kill.
But he'll move in, and it doesn't matter because never mind. Time, right? He's got to push forward. Reeves might be able to hop up before he gets there. Or sprinting up, he doesn't know! The 1v2!
Pretty cozy first game for G2. Tim, it started out with a 5-0 on the defense. Looks surely like they're going for a 7-0 or a 7-1 win. But let's say they took things a little bit too casually and started to pay the price. Joel giving them a few scares throughout the game. G2 managed to recompose themselves and get the job done, taking Cafe in quite comfortable fashion. Now we have Consulate coming up where hopefully Tim coming here ready to roll from round 1.
Yeah, G2 won't really care what the score is, 7-0, 7-1, 7-4, it's all worth the same at the end of the day. But they just need to be careful. You know, I said it towards the end of that one. I think Joel got 3 out of 4 rounds at one point. And when that starts happening, these guys are very, very capable players. We know this over the years. And so they need to be careful that they're not allowing them that opportunity to get in, because as we've said, every point counts. You drop a map, you drop a point, that could come back to bite you later on.
We ran into G2 outside during the break as well, where they were saying, you know, these are good players. They're not at it today. Yes, we were kind of messing around a little bit there, and they needed that kind of head wobble to get themselves back on track. And hopefully now we see more of that starting to build. It was a bit of a problem for them.
Yeah, it was. And I think I genuinely think coming into console, I think the break between games is going to be that reset. It is going to be that big moment to say, right, you know, this is now clean slate, back into it. And yeah, I think we see something a little bit different out of them. Like I said, it wasn't a bad performance from G2. I don't want to, you know, stand here being critical of them. At the end of the day, they got the job done. There was just moments where you thought, you know, you maybe just letting them in a little bit here. We can see the stats there, 12-6, 12-8 for Doki and Alamau. Big game for the two of those. Blaz and Loira very quiet. I was going to say Loira was very quiet. I barely used his name throughout that one. 27% cost as well. Struggled to get running and been a great player so far at SI. So, you know, maybe one to watch on console to see if he can get himself in on the action a little bit more.
Doki did say to me he's feeling a little bit under the weather. I won't be surprised if there's a few across the team that are feeling that way, and their opponents in Joel will be more than aware of what it feels like to feel a bit under the weather. Many of their players being quite ill throughout the week. But just a reminder, if we get through Consulate, Border does await at the end of things. For Consulate, Tim, I would expect to see G2 here taking the win, even if they're starting on the attacking side.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, G2 were one of the Consulate pioneers. When it had its update, when it had its refresh, you know, we saw G2 get hold of it very, very quickly. They came out with some, you know, now what we would class as like default sort of hold areas, particularly around vending and admin. All the hold over that side of things were things that G2 very quickly sort of cottoned onto and were using. So yeah, I think we expect to see something very quick and very good coming out of G2 here on console.
What do you take on the Jazz, by the way? I've seen a growing tide of people being willing to defend it. Someone comes in and goes, what the hell is this music? And everyone's like, don't you dare fat talk the smooth jazz. We are in Boston. It's a big jazz city. In fact, I was saying on Friday, I want to go and check out a jazz bar in the city to go and see what it's all about. Soak in the local atmosphere. Maybe we'll get to that stage. Once everything has been wrapped up and we know who our teams that are going home for go home, it's worth reminding you at the end of this week. On Friday, we'll know who those 4 teams are confirmed. And we'll know who gets the bye through to the upper bracket, who gets the second round upper bracket, and who starts life off in the lower bracket. G2 has mentioned they want all 4 points from here because they are in contention with Unwanted for the top spot in this group. They play each other tomorrow. It's going to be a very, very spicy affair when that one kicks off. But here we go. Consulate's ready. We're straight into things, and Joel kicking us off with the first attacker ban.
Oh, I have to mention in the Jazz there, we just zoomed straight in onto Piano. That was pretty good.
Hell yeah. That could be the first one being taken away by Joel. A lot of our top teams, we speak about this a lot, Tim, they love playing Dokkaebi. I think between BDS and W7M, 3 of their players have got it in their top 3 operators, making great use of the operator to punish any would-be roamers, but also support and execute. Very, very versatile and very, very powerful. Blitz, also surprising. No one really. Everyone loves playing Blitz, except for apparently anyone on the side of Joel. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is someone in there somewhere who's a little bit of a merchant, Tim.
Yeah, we're going to have the first defender ban coming in. It's going to be a castle ban from G2. So again, one that we don't see too often.
Blitz ban is to stop Halamar, apparently. Castle definitely an interesting one. Probably also looking to stop a little bit of trolling with that castle. And Joel banning away the Vigil. Noodle is going to be livid.
They've done it to themselves.
They have, doing themselves no big favours. Well, here we go then. Let's get ourselves through this game and see how things shape up. G2 starting life on the attack, Joel on the defense. I'm going to get things off Tim up on that top floor.
Let's get on into things. It's like you say, up on the top floor, we've got the Scorpos, we've got the Valkyrie. Couple of interesting ones to keep an eye on. Particularly, I love the score pass. I genuinely love the different ways that we see it used. The little teleportation from one shell to the other is always interesting when it happens. We saw it utilised fantastically, of course, by Hot and Cold back on day 1 from Unwanted. Absolutely beautiful stuff against Team Liquid. But, you know, we quite often see it used just as a shield, as a bulletproof cam. We've even seen it used in the Brazil League to cover a plant fantastically well, and that was utilising the switch of shells as well. They just kind of ran in front of where the diffuser was down, switched out to the other shell, so effectively put a shield in front of the down diffuser, and then went in behind it and started getting, you know, on the disable of the diffuser. It was absolutely great stuff, but it was unsuccessful by about half a second, I think, on that occasion. But it just shows the versatility of the operator and the fun and interesting ways it can be used.
Sure, and I imagine for him it's more able. You're taking Vigil away from me, boys. I'm on the squad boss the entirety of this half. We'll see if it comes to be the thing that shapes up and defines the game. Now, the Nomad is back available for G2. It was banned away from them on the last map. Doki, normally the go-to player of that operator, but it's Uno rocking it this time around. Still showing a degree of respect, I'd say, with the Thatcher on side. The main concern to him is there is no hard breach to go with it. Admittedly, on this top 4, you don't need much of that. You're leaning instead in towards being able to get a default plant in through the window, but relying on those EMPs to keep the other team away. Probably also the same use of, well, keep C4s away in this case, in the Nomad and the Grim to do the exact opposite. Get rid of the players rather than any gadgetry. Free kill coming in as Noodle's been figured out in the basement down here. Good pinch by G2.
Nice play on the book as well. It's a little skill that's often underrated, and we did see somebody fail with it yesterday. I'll go into it in a little bit. Uno's taking a lot of damage, but he'll get this down. He manages to escape as well. Really well done from Uno there. So that's the sort of textbook plant on the CEO window. They've got that one done successfully, and it's good stuff. It's even with a kill from leader onto Uno there, it's going to be very, very difficult. G2 are on the windows. They're on the rappel. They'll have several of them there. It's going to be very, very tricky. I think they've got one underneath as well, potentially. Alamau manages to find a double. Hoban and Leader get taken down. It is all up to Mentalist, and very little he can do as Lawyer closes it out. But the skill was picking up on for Lawyer. It's going to sound like, again, a simple one, but it's not something that we always seen done that well. And that is the flex from the skeleton key back to the rifle to get the kill. You've got to be prepped for it. You've got to be thinking, this is what I'm going to do. So he opens the hatch with the skeleton key and then flips straight to the rifle and gets the kill. And we've seen players already struggle to do that.
I need to know what happened. There was clearly some... Don't endorse gambling, but there's clearly some kind of bet going on where Alamau had bet $200 with his coach that something would happen. And whatever happened came through. So Alamau now owes cameraman $200 apparently. And I really want to know what it's for. I'll have to find out after this game, but it looks like a lot of fun.
Going to be down into the basement for round 2. Joel need to be getting as many rounds on the defence as they can, I think. Given that it's G2's map pick, you put them on the defence console, you are really going to struggle. You're going to be coming up against a brick wall. So it's really important that Joel manage to lock out as many as they can. Going down to basement, it's a bit of a call, really, because we've seen teams really struggle to hold on to this site over the last couple of days.
Well, the stats of the day showed it was the most successful attacking site on this map.
It's a tough one for defenders to keep hold of, because you've really got to keep hold of Piano and Exhibition particularly, because once teams go in and start ripping that up, you've got no access to the car garage side of this site, and then it's pretty much open the wall, walk on in and plant near the bomb chassis, and there's very little you can do to stop it. Your smokes potentially can do something about it, but otherwise you're really going to struggle. So Joel, they need to be keeping hold of the area above this time.
I thought I might see some kind of C4 denial or impact coming over the top from that, but nope, nothing to be seen. Reap's taken down, Laura finding his man. Tim, I think he heard you speaking about him after that pretty dismal first map performance.
Yeah, maybe.
But 3-0 to start things off here on Consulate.
I'm glad to have perked him up then. Noodle's going to be the one to watch. He's up in exposition at the minute. G2 are going to need to clear Noodle out realistically before they can start walking in through the breach and trying to put the diffuser down. That's going to be the big one. Get that done, and then get opening a few things up. They don't really have too much soft destruction. They do have the Ash Chargers, of course. Hoven's going to get taken down. Leader manages to find parts. That's the important kill. Uno onto Noodle. They managed to get it from underneath, and Uno's actually just walked in like hello. The last one is Bottom Spiral, taken out by Alamau. G2 looking like a slightly different beast than they did on the attack of Cafe.
You'd hope so. But it was around this time on Cafe when things started to get a little bit silly. And we remarked that actually during the break, you'd hope to see them being a bit more composed. Timeout coming in nice and early here as well from Joel. Obviously can't hear much of what they're saying over on this stream. We don't have the microphones to pick up everything that is being said. Clearly Corey's got a few words to offer up nice and early on. Not too surprised given they are on the defensive side here. You don't want to let too many rounds slip away. Otherwise that second half when you flip to the attack is miserable, as G2 found out back on Cafe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no surprise to see the timeout coming in so soon. G2 have won those 2 rounds very easily with pretty default stuff, and you don't want to get behind on the defense here because, like I say, you're not. In all honesty, they're probably not going to get more than 1 round maybe off G2 when they're attacking, because G2 are going to be very good on the defense here of Consular. So, yeah, you need to be making sure that you get as many of these as possible. They want a 4-2 half, really. So, once you've already lost those 2 as the first 2 rounds, yeah, get that attack timeout and try and change the direction.
I'm sure you're very aware if you're over here on Bravo, but this was indeed a second stream running today. We've got Dark Zero versus PSG Talon over on the other stream. I won't spoil how that game is going, but it's looking like it's turning into a pretty saucy one. They are still back on the first map, I believe, actually, Tim, playing on Consulate like we are now. But they're more at the tail end of things than they are near the start as we are here with G2. Up to that top floor we go. Clearly Joel thinking they can improve on what happened last time around. We saw the lineup coming in with the Nomad, which it looks like G2 are going to switch back over to again. But the EMPs once more to stop any C4s, and Nomad to push away any attackers or defenders in this case that would try to disable that diffuser. We've got the buck coming in below to make sure everything is opened up inside of Piano. The Blackbeard being the main addition here though for Doki. I'm keen to see how it's put to use.
See then if Joel can do any better on the hold. It's again much the same as I said on Cafe. Get yourself some entry kills, open things up, get yourself an advantage. That is more when G2 are sort of struggling, whenever, you know, what they try just doesn't work out and they lose a couple of bodies to it, then we haven't seen them always being able to come and turn those rounds over. So going to be Joel looking to get things kicked off just inside of the main door there, conscious of a potential push coming in from that direction, but just going to dip away once spotted by the drones. Looking like it's going to be pretty similar here from G2, potentially opening up behind the desk. It's just going to make sure there's nobody there to challenge onto them if they go in through CEO window. They'll, yeah, working through connector as an alternative as well. They know that there's one just on the inside of there. Doki's going to try to take him out as soon as he goes in, but yeah, it's going to be much the same here. Just pressure from the windows for G2.
And why not? Why try and fix what ain't quite broken? I mean, the owner always flips onto the defenders in this case, the ones who lost the last round. They've got 2 kills. Plaz and Doki both stop, make it a third as Reaps also springs into action. The G2 have all moved forward at the same time, but Joel have held firm, bringing down 3 of their opponents and now sit in a 4 versus 2.
Yeah, looking good for Joel here to take their first defensive round, but Laz has something, Lawyer has something to say about that. Goes in with the skeleton key, manages to take down Reaps. Also grabs a bit of ground as well on into Bathroom. 2 versus 3, and Joel needs to be careful here because this becomes very winnable for G2.
I was going to say if he was on window, it looks plantable, but obviously the problem is he's not. He's got a cross here in front of 2 players.
The thing is, he could very quickly drop the hatch, go out of the window and go to potentially go in. And like you say, Loira can hold the cross and just prevent anybody moving to challenge him. So
the problem is, he'd have to be a real good play pitch and shoot team because there is a C4 in Mentalist back pocket.
Yeah, that's the problem. I say go for it.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Oh, they don't want to drop it in. They want to push and try and fight this by the looks of it. Got the right idea. Oh, no, he's gone for it, Tim. Wow! The corner. The size of the balls on this man. He's got away with it, and the plant's going to get stuck. C4 over the top. No! The timing is just not there. They were so close. We did not have an ace clay pitching shooter, I'm afraid. Uno ain't that guy. He's found a kill for himself with 2 more still to pick up here with 30 seconds to play. This one might be cut.
Going to get taken down from the door. We saw it coming.
It was so close.
It really, it was a fraction of a second. It was very close to that plant going down as well. And then it doesn't matter as much. If the nitro goes in and the plant is already down, it's very winnable for Uno from there, even in the 1v3. But yeah, please don't run across again like that. Just drop the hatch and go out of the window. You'll be there just as quickly. Please don't run across again.
I love how the admins had to step up and put the coffee on the ground because we've had every event someone inevitably knocks a drink all over their setup.
Every single
It
time.
happens every event. And so I love that having someone now basically making sure the coffee is all on the ground. Love to see it.
Moving on then, it's going to be 2-1. Joel managed to get themselves locked into that top four. This time it's going to be Piano and Exhibition that they try to hold on to. We've got the mirror window out towards main lobby, which is pretty powerful, absolutely fine. Should be dealt with reasonably easily. You can pretty much wander in. You just need to be careful of the peak coming around it. Just go up and smash it. But it is going to give a good bit of intel, at least for Joel. They're going to be trying to hold on to the top floor as well. G2 went back to kind of trying a bit of a rush last time around, and they were punished for it, so I think we need to see more of the first couple of rounds, which was, you know, a little bit more sort of ticking boxes and clearing areas out and gaining control.
Interesting mirror upstairs here as well to help hold down around office. Back in the days of old, you struggled to get anything like this done because of all the windows, but of course, since the rework, office is definitely a little bit more playable. You can sit inside it and hold down a bit more comfortably. And as we've seen on so many sites, again, in case you haven't watched too much Siege before, hold that upstairs floor to defend the one below. Does mean Expo and Piano is going to be the big focus for them, and I'm already looking towards Loira here. Again, he started well so far on this map. Looking to be a bit of an X factor as he works his way up towards those Visa stairs. So in fact, might even find one, but Reaps has got his number. Not quite on fire the same way he was back on Cafe Tim, but still looking like he's got a couple of sharp shots in him. That was going to be really weird. I was like, sharp shooter shots or what? I don't know what words to say. Sharp shots, we'll go with that.
Alamo on the Ash, just trying to hold the angles there, see if anybody wants to give him a little bit of a freebie, but Joel just don't seem to be in a giving mood today, Des. They are definitely locked in and looking to spoil the party as much as they can. Leader's going to be holding his position up there just to, again, try and keep that top floor locked down, prevent any pressure coming in from yellow, whereas V2 are just looking and thinking, we're going to go straight in here. They know that this angle isn't being covered. I think Uno's probably going to get away with this one. Here goes in to stop him being pushed, and Joel have let that one slip the net. If you're going to hold on to top floor, you've got to hold on to it. You've got to stop the diffuser going down, and now they are going to have to return to site. And this is where G2 are likely going to cut them apart.
It's great use of the nades and the Grim Bees, though, to ensure that they were pushed back and couldn't easily challenge her. To say that, Tim, well, Noodles has gone and fried a whole bunch of them. There's still a lot more to do here as well. Got to win this next one. Finds this one too. Can he spin onto two more and secure the 4K? Shot in the back foot. Nothing he can do. Mentalist will collect his trophy. Joel will take another round, moving things up to 2 apiece.
Really good retake from Joel there. I thought that was very winnable for G2. Once that diffuser goes down and Joel have to push downstairs and kind of retake the site, you feel like G2 likely to sort of cut them to ribbons as they try to do that. But no, they just won gunfight after gunfight. They level things up 2-2, and this is exactly what I've been saying about Joel. They will make a game of this given the opportunity. You better believe it. And they right now are doing just that.
Sad face. Down into the basement we go for round 5. And Mirror being brought along in this time around. What we saw before when that was in place was, well, you just often see it down in that basement to help defend on towards that main wall. G2 were in there with very little bother last time around. Played downstairs. No C4s went on towards the breach or impacts of the night, you know, getting it opened up. Hope to see at least a little bit of improvement compared to last time around, even without that Mirror being on side. Reaps is on the Solus, Tim, and we remarked on this a couple of days ago that we haven't seen a halt on the Solus, you know, since the nerfs came through. Definitely found a niche that she slots into, and it's more specific for teams. I think it's when we had a Mute Underway that we saw her getting paired up with a Mozzie as an alternative. But here, those are all available. Reaps still saying, right, out on the roam I go. And look at the number of bulletproofs they've got, by the way. 4 bulletproof cameras. Not a single C4. Not too sure how I feel about that one.
Well, there should be no excuse for not knowing what G2 are doing. I think that is fair to say. They should have almost complete coverage of the site as an absolute minimum, and then a little bit on top of that you would expect as well.
Shock drones.
That's going to be the problem. It does get taken out, though, but we can see the breach inside of 25 seconds will be opened up by Uno.
They're not even bothered to contest it, I think, and I don't blame them for it either, right? Like, you'd rather try and deny the plant or play for a retake here. Always a risk, admittedly, on this site, but I mentioned earlier on that the attacking side tends to find the most success down on this basement site. Joel surely must have at least some knowledge of that being the case and have a plan in mind. I'm just not quite sure if 4 bulletproofs are the ultimate answer I'd lean towards.
Alamau just spots out the man inside of Tellers there. He's looking to go down and challenge this almost certainly, just conscious that he doesn't want to get shot from the other side, but he knows that there's going to be a gunfight for him to take here. Probably hard left, well aware, but always seems to know that he's coming. Who's going to win this one out? Uno manages to pick up leader, and we can see here Reaps has just got himself dug in, and we know he's been winning his gunfights, but unfortunately the round's falling apart whilst he's waiting for the opportunity. And the thing is, G2 can just keep him locked there. That's what Alamau's done, and this is smarter play from G2 rather than just going in and trying to take those gunfights. It's, look, there's 3 of them left. I've got one of them locked in here. Go and get the plant down.
And all 3 committed to punishing Alamau. They've completely ignored side. I'm not quite sure on the game plan there, to be honest with you boys, but G2 managed to make a back plan happen inside the kitchen, and this now feels a little bit miserable. Noodle's got it all to do by himself, and I don't suspect he'll get away with even a single kill. Indeed, he will not. G2 taking us up to 3-2. That one being a very weird round. There was so much focus on Garage, and I think despite having all these bulletproof cams, you could see they didn't know where the plant was going down because smokes are being dropped inside of Garage, despite the plant going down at the back of Kitchen. So G2, fair play, clearly noticed where there was a gap in that setup, exploited it, got the plant down, and there was very little that Joel could do about it.
That, like I say, that play from Alamau there just says to me that G2 have got a slightly different attitude or approach to this, in that I think previously on Cafe, for example, we'd have seen Alamau walking in there and taking the fight, thinking, I'm just going to pre-fire, you know, I want the kill. Whereas now it's, no, there's only 3 of them alive. I've got one locked in Tellers. I'm going to do the smart thing. I'll just keep him held here. You go and get the diffuser down. So, yeah, G2 maybe just a slight sharpening of the focus here on Consulate to get this one done. To be honest with you, a 4-2 attacking half for G2 will be no bad thing whatsoever. Get them onto the defence. They'll be confident then that we'll probably see similar to what we did on the Cafe defence, and they'll just start locking rounds down, I would have expected. So 4-2 half for G2 will be absolutely fine. Joel really need to be winning this one, I think.
They do. Otherwise, I think G2 just find themselves rolling through that second half, as you say, and it's, still not a pretty situation as you come to expect. G2 are trying something a little bit different, though, Tim. They're rolling out with 2 shields here. A blitz is taken away, and G2 declared it an attempt to try and limit what Alamau is going to be playing, and sure enough, he's not one of the shield bearers in this round. That's on Uno and Doki. Seen quite a few players on G2 thinking about it, play that Blackbeard over the last few days. We saw Blaz on the last map. We've got Doki playing it now. Well, mixing things up.
Doki's going to be just getting aggressive here, trying to use that operate, but how about that? Mentalist, how do you deal with the Blackbeard? You headshot him when his shield is down. Mentalist beautifully just peeking around the corner, takes Doki down. Fantastic reaction shot, that, and that gives Joel a big advantage in round 6.
It was the slow start to get that drone work done. Sure enough. Trying to chew their way through here, G2. Lots of that utility scattered around. You saw just them from Mentalist there. A Vulcan in front of him as well as a bulletproof camera. You got the Valkyrie helping out on side too. G2 have got to be respectful here. There's quite a lot that can still work against them if they're not too careful. And yes, Doki's already gone down here. 1 shield's offline. But it can get worse. A lot of traps laid for them throughout the map. Joel hoping to get, as we said, that 3-3 half.
The angle from up on the roof, but G2 need to find a couple of kills here realistically. They're coming up to the halfway mark, clearing out utility and just doing a little bit of droning, just trying to push forward. But the presence of the Monty tells me a little bit about what G2 are looking for as well. Alamau just goes full upside down rappel from the skylight, manages to find 2. That gives G2 a little bit of a glimmer of hope inside of this round. They go 4 versus 3 now. They have the advantage, they have the shield on side. This should be winnable from here.
I want to say I recall G2 doing that once upon a time on Bank, just with the lobby rappel coming down and killing like 2 players from there. And the whole philosophy was, it's so unexpected because no one wants to do it because it feels so stupid that actually it's genius. And Alamau's just pulled off exactly the same on the rappel. Killed 2 players through the spiral spotlight. What else more is there to say? They've got the numbers advantage. They've still got the Monty on side. Alamau is absolutely frying in this round, is now finally put to rest. But G2 have got the numbers, they've got the shield, and Leader is all alone here against 3 in a post-plant situation. G2 should be able to net this one 4-2.
Yeah, it's been a really nice attack from G2. We saw, like I said, bringing along the Monty tells me a little bit about the attitude of, you know, let's get this done, because Uno then just stood inside a site, as we see the Monties do, just feeding that information to his team, shot calling the whole thing. He can see exactly what's going on, and they just dropped in front of him one by one until he had the opportunity to put the diffuser down. So nice play from G2 to secure the 4-2 half on attack, and I think that is going to make them pretty confident coming into this second half that they can just lock block this one out now. We're going to be going up to the top floor for their first defense. And for me, absolute must-win round for Joel.
They've really got to get things moving. Otherwise, what? There's that 5-2 gap. It's a 3-round recovery.
With
and
G2 on defense, it's too much.
It starts to feel a bit too unrecoverable at that point. And you're absolutely right. With G2 being on defense, you definitely favor them to come away as the winner. Well, it looks like though Joel are taking a few notes out of G2's book, but also what everyone expects to see really coming into this site. You've got the Ying, you've got the Thatcher, you've got the Grim, and you've got the Glass here. 100% looking to try and play around those windows in the same way that G2 did. I say that. There's a change away to the Flores here, which may suggest that they've got something different in mind.
Potentially. The Grim would normally... Yeah, you've got the Grim on Mentalist instead. So the Grim would normally be used to stop the half-wall swing. You want to get in behind that bookshelf, like we saw G2 do, and try and get that plant down. So you Grim off the wall next to it, and it prevents anybody swinging across. The pass holds to the cover. Ying will go connector window, throw in some Candelas. Would usually be the case. Leader having the diffuser in hand, it might mean that it's slightly different to that. You potentially look for maybe a connector window plant, just dump a load of Candelas in through there and just have a, a little bit of a surprise factor because they're kind of expecting it from CEO window. But yeah, I would expect it to come from at least one of those two angles, unless they've got something funky planned.
Not a bad try.
It was close.
Almost bringing Leader down super early into the round. Would have been the Ying going offline, all those Candelas, those smokes
it really does
taken
change
away.
things though, because he's got the diffuser and you've got Uno on side with the smoke. He's dead within a breath or two.
Have to give it to someone else to make the plan happen completely. The thing for me that I'm worried about, Tim, is that lack of that Thatcher. Now, it's not so big a deal now that only C4 on G2 side has been used, but Alamar will be able to hold out through the smoke, of which there is quite a lot to dump in towards site here. They've also got the Yokais. There's still a lot that G2 can work with even without it. That's what I mean, yeah. So the smokes aren't going to be so effective, and that's why I think between those two, might be a spot of bother for them.
Could be. We're going to see the drone just taken out there as well. So E2 certainly on top of all the fundamentals here of just starving Joel with as much information as they can. The Rotero drone will go in and take out the bulletproof cam. So kind of a shot returned there from the side of Joel, removing intel on the G2 side. Going to get the cubby wall open. That's going to, again, just create a little bit more pressure inside of sight for G2, but they were ready for it. They've got the laser gate over it. That's another bit of utility that Joel are going to have to burn.
Speaking of utility, it's in hand. They're ready to do something. But what is that something, Tim? Look down towards yellow and a push in? Maybe, but there's only one player sat there and it's Doki. If they can clear him out, at least they get a beachhead in towards this top floor, Tim. And that's a smoke that's come down there on towards yellow. Indeed, out it comes. Shotgun in hand, ready and waiting. Uno pressed up against this door, expecting someone to come stepping in. Right now looks more like a step coming in through instead of towards Cubby. And here we go. They've changed the whole push over towards to be this east side with the backstab coming in from yellow. Still down without Hoven, of course, when a 4 versus 5. G2 are just holding on for now and letting this wave, this tsunami of utility just wash over them. One Candela left, one set of Grimbees, and a couple of smokes to play behind. Ain't really a lot for Joel to make work.
No, it's like I always say, when you're using utility, I kind of look at it as in you're selling that utility, and what are you getting for it? And right now, Joel haven't got very much for it. They've thrown a lot of that utility in there, but they've not followed it in. They've not had an opportunity to put the diffuser down. They've lost bodies along the way. They haven't got kills, and so, yep, you can use all that utility, as much as you want, but ultimately, they've given it all away for free, when really they should be selling it. A Candela goes in, you should take a bit of map space, you should get a kill, you should have an opportunity to put the diffuser down. You've got to be getting something in return for that utility, and that's what Joel have failed to do there. G2 have just soaked up that pressure and utility fantastically well.
They have. Very, very comfortably. A flawless round to boot. Nothing more that you can really ask for from G2 from that perspective. That is that 5-2 scoreline that we said that Joel desperately needed to avoid, though. There's now a 3-round chasm between them and G2. G2 need just 2 more, and they'll wrap up the series 2-0 and remain the only team to have not lost a map here at the Six Invitational. Down to the basement we go. See if we get some creative defenses coming out. We've seen that mirror on side that I mentioned before. Didn't see Joel weaponizing it, instead leaning on 4 bulletproofs. Wasn't too sure about that. I feel much happier seeing things like the Kai to try and keep the wall locked up, like the mirror to play behind, the 4 C4s in back pocket. This looks like a much more, air quotes, normal lineup for this site, Tim.
Yep, it absolutely is. We'll see whether it pays dividends. That's going to be the real question. I think, yeah, looking at the side of G2, this is going to be tough for Joel to get this done. They need to make sure they're dealing with those Valkyrie cams. They've no IQ on side. The Twitch drone, of course, you know, can take them out, but they need to make sure that they're finding them, spotting them, because otherwise they're going to get hit by Nitros. There's 4 on the side of G2. Quite clear what the plan is there. It's either going to be Nitros over the wall to try and stop them breaching, which is one that I love personally. If you're not having too much success with it in ranked, I'm going to hit you with a little tip. Rip it at the beginning of the round, just at the end of the prep phase, so they don't hear it when they come down, because everybody's expecting to hear that Nitro rip when they walk up towards the wall, and that's when they think it's going to come out towards them. So get it ripped early. Just hold it in your hand. Honestly, you'll get a kill almost every round with it. But that's not going to be the case for G2 here, as the wall is, I think, going to be breached. They're certainly working on it. That's big. Twitch drone going in and managing to clear out that mirror window really affects how Uno is able to hold on to this breach now. That's really good.
I don't think it'll stop him ripping off a few skulls though, Tim. I've seen Uno hit some nasty shots this week so far. For a player that many looked at and said, oh, he's past it, he's too old now, he can't hit the shots. He's definitely proved that wrong in a few games. He's been doing some magical work, and I'm sure that he can continue doing so even here, sat without a mirror window to play in behind. Now, Joel are largely lined up here. They've got the Monty focusing on yellow. They had 2 players outside garage, but Tim, a couple of players starting to move away here. They're going to change tack and try and go elsewhere.
Looks like it could be the case. Maybe try and get a bit of mid-floor control. They don't have too much in terms of being able to open things up. They're reliant on the soft breach charges from Reaps and Leader. If they get in there and try to open the floor up, I guess arguably Mentalist could use some of those X-Kairos pellets. He's going to want to open the hatch if that's the case. But yeah, they're definitely working towards getting that hatch open and working that floor and just softening sight up. They've obviously had a little bit of a look and just thought, you know what, this isn't immediately possible. The problem they've got is a Halamau up on the top floor.
On the mute, no less, as well. Not only the kind of operator you think about when you think Roma. So as we look back at the days of old, Tim, you know, the SSG roam on Clubhouse, Mute and Mozzie would often be the ones off-roaming up on that top floor, because you pop down the gadgets, you've got quite a lot to place down. You may as well stay up there and play your life along with that C4. And they've got enough to play Banal on site if so required. Although Alamo might be very, very slow and very, very loud up there on the mute, makes sense for him to be the one up on that top floor. Is joined by Loro, though, that's also lurking at the top of this spiral stairs. Now moved his way back downstairs. It's Alamau working his way back through the map, trying to catch out someone maybe towards yellow. But as said, Joel have moved away here to try something else. Smokes are coming in. They're inside sight at this point, Tim. In comes the march down from Leader at the same time, and he's got the cover for his team. Joel now into a 4 versus 2.
Plant is going to be going down as well. Hoban on the Monte. Looks like he's going to be able to stick that. Actually comes off it as the challenge comes in from above, but there's not really much that Alamau is going to be able to do here. He needs the perfect angle in order to stop it. Cannot do so. 4 versus 1. He's going to be challenged on the lateral here as they know exactly where he is, so Noodle's going in, just looking to wait and pick him up, because ultimately he can't win this from above. He has to come back, and that's why it's smart. Noodle doesn't go for the challenge. He just waits there because he knows that at some point Alamau's going to have to come back. There we go. Picks him up as he does. Good stuff from Joel. I like that it was kind of almost like the third idea that worked there. It was like, right, we'll just go straight through breach. Actually, no, there's a bit much stacked up against us. Right, let's get above and just soften that up a bit. Right, that's not, we need to be careful because Alamau's there. Let's get down the backside and get, you know, it was just all sort of different things coming together and it worked out for them. Really good stuff.
Came full circle towards the yellow plant in the end. The G2 just were not ready for, because I think as they realised as well, Blaz was out towards server. As we noted, Alamau was up roaming, so with sight being relatively light on bodies, it was a good call to make the push in and make the plant happen when they did. 5-3 to G2, still in the lead by at least a couple of rounds. Bit of padding here to play behind, and Joel starting maybe a little bit of a resurgence. Got to see, of course, more than one round get put on the board here, though. Still proved to be a very, very miserable half. And now we go into the most defender-sided site on this map of all the sites that we have. Be that Expo and Piano site.
Again, top floor presence will be there for G2. If we have a look at the minute, 4 out of 5 are up above. There's only Dorkit in and around site, and saying that, he's on spiral and goes upstairs as well, but Loira will drop back. But yeah, the majority of this is going to be a top floor hold. But to be honest, it's a little bit risky because we have seen teams been able to find that space, go in and get the diffuser down. G2 did it. They weren't able to hold the post plant, but they can go in there and get that plant down even when the top floor is fully manned as it is at the minute. So something that G2 need to be aware of, that they don't just leave a bit too much space inside a site.
I think it was in between Unwanted and Liquid in this same group, actually. We saw quite a few cheeky plants coming inside of Expo, trying to tuck away in the corner, and like you say, getting away with it on a couple of occasions too. So it's a case of caution for G2. I can't imagine the kind of team, knowing the caliber of this team and how they did really love playing Consulate a lot when it was first reworked, to let something like that slip and let Joel in without so much as a gunshot being fired. Looking in towards things like the mirror up on the top floor alongside the Azami, they've really fortified this upstairs position. Joel have got a lot of work cut out for them if they want to break it apart, which then starts to incentivize that direct towards site play.
Yeah, absolutely. And see the Deimos just looking to get in through copy potentially. Again, we've not really seen sort of too much use of the Deimos in this game. Super powerful, as we know, but just not too much of sort of the vertical angles that we often see. Get the track and then challenge from above or below, usually being able to take 3 damage or a kill even in those circumstances. But Joel just still trying to build a picture here of exactly what they're facing on the top floor before they look to move across. Reaps, I think, just waiting for that last little bit of drone information before here he goes. Looks to make that challenge, just misses the opportunity to tag Doki there, who gets the keeper barricade out, but then drops himself back to long desk.
At least. I mean, look, over half the round has been worn away here, and still at least half setting themselves up towards the ground floor, but also a lot of work going on up on this top floor to get any kind of clearance through. Bit of a struggle. They've got some of the utility gone, but there's also a G2 player tucked in towards his left here. Reaps could be in the hot bother unless he manages to get a kill. No, he does not, and Blaz takes the opportunity to spring out of cubby and bring his man down. One more tucked in, waiting for the push to come forward. Who wins it out? It's a C4! Just when you think it might be the 1v1, guess what? No, Loira snags it away. Doki with 2 more. G2 got all the kills they need to close this out and move us up to match and series point. And a reminder, Tim, next round could be the last round that Joel play here at SI25.
Certainly could be, as it's extremely unlikely that this one gets done. It's going to be Blaz that finds the final kill. G2 move on to series point. And they will be looking to get this locked down here and now. Defense on Consulate, you really don't see them faltering.
Doki's been like laughing and joking after every single... It doesn't matter what happens in the round, he's laughing in some way.
He's something to laugh about with it.
He's either like, they're really bad, or what the hell happened there? Or, oh, $200. Like, it doesn't matter. There's always something after each round, which is good knowing that it's a little bit under the weather. Still in high spirits.
We're moving to the top floor, I think, for G2's final hold. Or potential final hold. I might be calling that a little bit too soon. We will see. Joel might have something to say about it. The Amaru's going to be switched away for the Buck. And we're going to have the Ursa moved away for the Ash. So it kind of, initially when you look at that attacking lineup, you think, yeah, it's super clear what's going to go on here. But given those changes, maybe just a little bit less so. Buck to Nomad. We've got all sorts of changes coming on here now that they've had a look at the defense. Nomad, Twitch, Grim, Flores. So I think we're going to see more of a try and get into the building and push from within, if I had to guess.
Hopefully so. They need it. Because everything they've tried so far, only bar the one round in the downstairs where things look pretty good, but admittedly G2 were quite aggressive with their own play there, and Joel spotted an opportunity. I don't think G2 are going to make that same mistake again. They can get this closed up there and get on with their day. It's not even midday yet, Tim, as well. It'd be nice and wrapped up in quick fashion.
Yeah, that's it. It gives them plenty of time to look towards the games, you know, the last remaining game, and maybe just get a little bit of rest as well. You know, it's as important as it is to scrim and be prepared and everything else. It's, you know, of course, always important to have that little bit of downtime and just to be able to relax and step away from things a little bit. Otherwise, it can all get a bit intense. So, like you say, it just gives G2 that opportunity. If they get it locked out here, it buys them an extra hour to, you know, maybe have a bit of free time as well.
Never a bad thing. The reason why I say, by the way, this could be the last round for Joel is tomorrow is their, air quotes, rest day. A rest day in which they've already been eliminated. So this game to them, as we said, didn't really mean an awful lot. It still means quite a lot to G2. They're in a bit of a battle with Unwanted for the top spot in this group. They play each other tomorrow, which could be a really exciting game. Second game over on the A stream, I believe it's going to be, to close out this group and see how things settle. I think the game prior to that is Liquid versus M80, the other game in this group, which could also be the determinant for who starts in 4th place and goes to the lower bracket and who gets to start in the upper bracket. Moira taking Noodle straight off the window there. That's him over and done for the round. The start for G2, and already, Tim, half that time is gone.
Not an easy challenge to win out that one against the upside down rappel as well. You're going into the ward and the flashes are going to do absolutely nothing. I think they're kind of aware of that, but again, it's about you're selling that utility for free. You're giving it away. The flashes are going in. You're not following them. I'm not saying you can because it's a warden, but why throw the flash in then? It's not really going to do you, any great benefit. 5 versus 3 now as G2 surely cruising towards that 2-map win that I think we all expected coming into today.
We're a bit worried about Lawyer on that first map with that 27% cost and a pretty dismal performance.
I stepped it up now, Lawyer.
Hasn't he just? 11-3. He is laughing, as are the majority of G2. 2 more kills and this is done. Need to maybe have something to say about it, but I think for him and Mentalist to get this one over the line is a very tall order, especially given how well G2 have played. 45 seconds or so to play out here, and then this one is done.
Yep, just trying to get anything going that they can here, Leader and Mentalist. Maybe leave the tournament with a flourish, as you say, if they can maybe have one of those special moments. But G2 know where they're coming from. Leader's going to take a little bit of damage there. Going to play behind the Toxic Babe. Tuno knows there's one on the other side, but Mentalist sprays him down. Hang on just a minute. This one might not be over quite just yet. 20 seconds left to go. Joel, they're going to still have to do something very special. I think it's looking less and less likely here. They do have Diffuser in hand. They managed to find Blaz. Can they get in and just plant in the default spot? No, it's Loira holding them at bay. Manages to find a double, and that is the big finish for G2. They lock it out 2-0.
It was all a ruse, Tim. Lawyer is one of the 4K in the round to close things out and cementing a really good second map from him. Glimmers of moments there, especially on Cafe, I thought, where we might see something coming out of the other side, but G2, I think it was inevitable from the minute go. They were going to win this 2-0, Tim, and they carry on that undefeated streak. 6 maps in a row. They've dropped nothing so far this tournament.
Yeah, I think that's the key takeaway for G2 here, is that they continue without losing a map. Sends a message to everybody else that they're the only team in the tournament at the moment, and they're likely to continue if they manage to win out their 4th game tomorrow. It's quite an achievement, really, to be the only one to manage to do that.
It is. It puts you in good stead, although, of course, you have that worry about going into the next stage. What happens? Do you start dropping things then? Hopefully not, and the party can continue for G2, but for Joel, it is over. We'll go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a bit more of a chat about this game.